Hey, Gopher fans, Mike Grimm from Gopher Radio and Gophersports.com. We're on campus, and some news today, certainly breaking with the Big Ten moving fall sports to the spring. Gopher Athletic Director Mark Coyle joins us. We are social distance here without masks because we are social distance. This is a culmination of months of conversations, Zoom meetings. Kind of take us through that process. Ultimately, what was the final decision here in terms of why we got to this point?
Yeah, Mike, well, if you go back March 12th, you and I were in Indianapolis at the Big Ten basketball tournament in a hotel basement doing a similar interview
Just like this.
When things started to get canceled. And I can tell you, if you go back to that time, if you remember, on day one, the Big Ten Conference made it very clear that every decision we would make would be based on the health and safety of our student athletes, our coaches, our staff, and our fans. And I can tell you, I've been on almost daily Zoom calls with Commissioner Warren and the fellow athletic directors in the Big Ten Conference, talking about COVID-19, talking about everything that's impacting all of us from many different areas. And again, we kept at the center of our target the health and safety of our student athletes, coaches, and fans, etc. And so based on the information, there's just too many uncertainties right now. And we felt like we had to provide our kids with some certainty right now and let them know that we're going to postpone and we'll look to play these sports in the spring.
You had a chance to meet with many of the student athletes involved with this decision, and I know you and I were just talking. It's disappointment, certainly, that fall campaigns has been pushed back. There's a chance that this can happen in the spring. But what was the meeting with the football, the soccer, the volleyball, and the other student athletes like today for you?
Well, first, I thank them. I hope people understand how special our kids here at the University of Minnesota are. Our football team, our volleyball team, our soccer team, they've been back since early July, and those kids have done everything we've asked them to do. And I'm so grateful for them. You see programs across the country that had to shut things down. We haven't had to do that here because our kids have done everything the right way, and I thank them. I also told them that none of us have ever been through anything like this. This is the first time for all of us. And I said the only way we're going to get through this is if we do it together, we stick together, we have open and honest conversations. And throughout the entire 5-month process, we've tried to have weekly calls with our student athlete representatives to give them updates on what's going on with not only our department, but what's going on at the Big Ten level. And so when I talked to our team, we talked about, hey, we're hitting the pause button right now. We're going to continue to work hard. We're going to continue to represent this institution, this state, in a first-class manner, and we're going to do everything we can to bring you back in the spring and play a safe season if we're allowed to.
Coaches, what have the coaches feedback from them? Because I know there have been some coaches in the conference that were pushing hard that they wanted to play in the fall, and we all wanted to play in the fall, right? But what have the coaches' response been like?
Mike, I am so humbled to work with the coaches we work with here. Again, we've had almost weekly calls with our head coaches and with all of our assistant coaches on these Zoom calls. And again, they have been in complete support, and they clearly understand. We want to make sure that when we do this, we do it the right way, and we do it where we provide that health and safety for our student athletes and everybody involved. And so, I had a chance to talk to PJ before I met with the team. I had a chance to talk with Hugh and with Steph going with our volleyball soccer teams, and they've been absolutely phenomenal because our kids are going through a lot. We've all been on a roller coaster. We've all gone through the ups and downs, and our coaches have been phenomenal. And I made it very clear, we have a football program. As you know, we won 11 games for the first time since 1904, right? We're not taking the foot off the gas pedal. We came here to win. We came here to compete at a high level, and I made that commitment to our football student athletes and to Coach Fleck, and we're going to continue to do that. We have a volleyball team that's been to 3 Final Fours in the past 5 years. They're a national championship team. We're going to do everything we can support them. We have a soccer team that's dying to compete. They won the Big Ten Conference a few years ago that wants to compete at a high level. We're going to do everything we can to support them. So we made it very clear to our coaches, to our student athletes, and our staff that this is a chance for us to grow. We're hitting the pause button, but we're going to continue to grow, keep our foot on the gas pedal, and continue to make this institution, this state, proud of what Gopher Athletics does.
Football-wise, the schedule was announced on Wednesday, and I know a lot of work went into that, and it was organized in a way that was going to have some flexibility as things happen. Did something change from Wednesday until today, last week until now, or was it just one of those things that you had to? How did that planning process go that way?
Yeah, well there's a couple steps. First off, you have the chance to travel with us, being the voice of the Gophers when you travel to the football program. You see all the logistics and all behind-the-scenes things that happen from the time the buses show up here to the time we get get on the airplane till the time we land at our destination, or you've seen all the work at home games. So we wanted to provide a schedule for our student athletes and to our coaches so they can start to prepare for the season, but we also need to do that for all the logistical stuff behind the scenes. So that's why that schedule was put together, and you're exactly right. There's a lot of flexibility built into that schedule, so if we had to push back or if we had to move games to the end, we could do that. But the second part of it was, if you recall, football training camp opened up last Friday, August 7th. Some of our teams were able to open up on August 5th because they were going to play on that Thursday night, that opening weekend. But when we started, there's a 2-day period where you just kind of do shorts and t-shirts, you do conditioning, light work, and then you start to put on the helmets and the pads. And the contact tracing, we still don't have an answer for contact tracing. And so we felt like as we moved to phase 2, if you will, of football practice specifically, we were concerned about the contact tracing, how that would impact our program here at Minnesota and across the Big Ten. So as we started to make that transition over the weekend, the Big Ten put out a statement that we're asking people to kind of pause the workouts a little bit. So we still had workouts, but they were more walkthroughs, very light in what they were doing. And then as we looked at going to the pads, we just felt like we needed to hit the pause button. Let's postpone the season till the spring. It gives us a chance to get more medical information. It gives us a chance to learn from our peers across the Big Ten Conference. And again, our goal is to play a safe season where everybody's healthy and safe in the spring.
Quick question, because we're talking fall sports now. Winter sports, hockey would start October, basketball would start November. Can that happen if things tracing and this stuff happen?
Yeah, so per NCAA rules, your men's and women's basketball teams can be practicing throughout the summer. They have a certain amount of hours where they can work with their coaches, and we've been able to do that here at Minnesota. So those kids have done a really good job being back here during the summertime. So when you talk about those sports, you have both hockey programs, both basketball programs, wrestling, swimming, and diving, those crossover sports that compete in both semesters. And we haven't addressed that side of it yet. We've talked about postponing fall sports. Obviously, I do think there'll be an impact on those schedules for those sports that will come up next. We don't know what that impact will look like. And again, we're going to rely on our medical experts to give us the most up-to-date information so we can provide that safe environment.
Based on talking to presidents, chancellors from around the league, and then the medical experts with all the great research institutions here, what do you think at the end of the day has to happen to have sports, whether it's in the winter starting on time or a little late, or in the spring? What you mentioned, the tracing, is that the biggest thing, do you think, or what do you think has to happen?
Well, in Mark Coyle's humble opinion, again, not a medical doctor, I want to make that very clear. In my humble opinion, we keep talking about the importance of social distancing, right, wearing your mask, washing your hands, making smart decisions, and our kids have done a phenomenal job of being very responsible. We all need to do a phenomenal job of being very responsible. But again, think about how much we know more now than we did when you and I were together March 12th in Indianapolis.
Right.
Remember back then, we were scared to touch door handles. We were scared to get on an airplane and fly back, if you remember those times, right? So I'm hopeful as we continue to gather more information, we'll learn how to better understand contact tracing. We'll be able to better understand some of the impacts of COVID-19 on the young men and women that's impacted so far. So right now, time is our friend. And so if we can practice good social distancing, make smart decisions, and rely on the medical experts, we'll get to where we need to get to.
Have you estimated how many hours you've spent on Zoom meetings, just on Big Ten meetings, not even with your own coaches, but just with everybody, since we talked in that Indianapolis hotel?
I haven't. I think the Big Ten made a comment maybe last week that we've been on over 100 Zoom calls since March. And when I say every day, it literally is every day. We do take weekends off, but there's some times where we go 2 or 3 times during a day. And again, a lot of our Gopher fans are very familiar with Commissioner Warren from his time with the Vikings. He's been absolutely awesome. His leadership, the leadership of the other athletic directors. I've never seen a conference where we have open and honest conversations. Yes, there can be disagreements, but at the end of the day, we all clearly understand it's about the student athlete and providing that safe environment for them, our coaches, our staff, and our great fans who support our program.
Well, certainly better safe than sorry, and hopefully this can buy time to get everybody back competing in the Big Ten. If there is something positive, we get to see each other in person for the first time in a while, and that's been fun at least,
yeah,
right?
No doubt, and I'll end with this, Mike. There's no doubt we want to play sports. We want to play football. We want to play soccer. We want to play volleyball. We want to watch our kids compete at the highest level. But we got to rely on the medical experts. There's some really smart people who are doing really cool things on this campus across the country, and they're going to continue to give us great information so we can bring everybody back safe. But I promise you we will be back. We're going to do it the right way, and we're going to compete at high levels and make all of Gopher Nation proud of what we do.
All right, very good. He's Mark Coyle, Athletic Director at the University of Minnesota. Thank you.